Okami is another of those overlooked games, but ever since its popularity with other countdown artists, it's become a lot more popular, and let me tell you, it's one heck of a unique game. Okami combines different Japanese myths and legends to create one big story, and the story is told with some of the greatest graphics and music I've ever heard or seen in a video game. There are various landmarks that have been taken over by darkness, and you need to bring them back to life. And once they are brought back to life, just look at them. It's amazing. You also have a feature called the Celestial Brush, which you use to perform different Japanese strokes and patterns to change the gameplay style. This can come in handy for bosses, levels, and other sort of things. You also upgrade this brush to learn more abilities, and this honestly improves the pace of the game much more than if it didn't have the brush. It just gives it that unique Japanese essence. The thing that I like the most about this game is the art style and the music. It's so heavily influenced by Japanese culture that it's just so easy to look upon it and just say, wow. This game has my favorite video game song of all time, and the music is easily able to reflect on what's happening in the game. I'm surprised that this didn't sell well, because it's a really good game, and it's very memorable. If anyone said that video games couldn't be art, then play this game, get a new brain, and rethink that statement, because, well, you're wrong. On the subject of artistic games, I think we should give Shadow of the Colossus a little bit of thought. It's an emotive game that doesn't have the main protagonist ramble on about their sad backstory. Samus and Cloud, I could easily care less about your problems. So back to Shadow of the Colossus. In this game, there's a guy called Wanda who's willing to bring back his girlfriend Mono from the dead. But to do so, he makes a deal with an evil spirit and has to kill 16 colossi. But the spirit warns him that there will be a price to pay. Killing these colossi is no easy task, but it's definitely no boring task either. These bosses are huge. It's just so much fun just climbing up onto them and just stabbing them with your sword. I mean, it sounds violent, and it sounds so guilty. These colossi never meant to hurt you, and you're just doing it just for one task. At the end, it just felt like it wasn't worth it at all. Wanda doesn't even get what he wants. Instead, he gets killed by the same spirit that asked him to kill the colossi, and that was the price to pay. Wanda wasn't able to accept his fate. Instead, he tried to fight against it, and it didn't end up so great. This game's ending is truly emotional, but there's so many interpretations of it that it could be considered as fine art. This whole game is just a masterpiece. I mean, just looking at the scenery just makes you think, wow. Let's talk about Conker's Bad Fur Day. Actually, no, let's go back a bit. Back. Okay, a little bit more forward. There we go, Banjo-Tooie. An excellent example of an excellent sequel to an excellent series. This game improved Banjo-Kazooie in so many ways. The level designs got bigger, the gameplay got more sophisticated, and most of all, it introduced more missions, more moves, and more bosses. Something the original Banjo-Kazooie didn't have. So many people criticize this series for being more of a collectathon, but let's be honest here. That's freaking ridiculous. Yeah, the game was a game where you collect things, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. I mean, the level design was awesome, and then so was the music. The levels were just so detailed, with loads of creativity packed into them. I mean, you've got a rundown theme park, a mountain made of lava and ice, and a town in the sky with a castle made of jelly, a massive beehive, and a giant wedge of cheese.
For everyone!
And no one could possibly forget the classic British humour that Rareware always puts into their games. This is honestly one of Rareware's best games they've ever made, and I can't think of a Rareware platformer that's much better than this. This freaking game! Cave Story is an excellent indie side-scroller, and despite its retro graphics and music, it has one of the greatest stories I've ever played through. You basically wake up in a cave not knowing who or where you are. But as you go through the game, you begin to find out about the Mimigas and how they're under danger by the douchebag, the Doctor. And you meet new characters such as Taroko, King, and Curly. And while they just seem like side NPCs, they're actually not. You find out more about them and how they relate to the story, and by the time you finish with the game, everything starts to piece together. You realize that everything isn't as it seems, and this game has some of the most shocking moments in video game history. As for the gameplay though, you get to jump around and shoot things, and it isn't anything like a first-person shooter. It actually requires a lot of skill. There's enemies being chucked at you, but at a lot of the times, it doesn't feel so cheap. It actually feels like a challenge, a fair one to be exact. The only problem I have with this game is that sometimes the difficulty gets overloaded, especially with the boss fights. There are the annoying boss fights such as Omega, Monster X, and the Doctor. But there's also the good boss fights such as Ballos, Ironhead, and the Undead Core, which actually require you to use your platforming and shooting skills to finish the game. This game is awesome. It has a great storyline, great gameplay, and great music. I definitely recommend trying it out. I'm still waiting. The Sonic games before were just a little bit weird, and often just really mediocre. And because we had never seen an actual good Sonic game for quite some time, we almost lost all faith in the series. Until... Sonic Colors is probably my favorite Sonic game today, and for good reason too. The game follows the plot of Dr. Eggman making a massive theme park and using these little creatures called wisps as fuel for it. Eggman plans to use Earth as one of the attractions for this theme park. So yeah, Sonic must save the wisps, defeat Dr. Eggman, and save the world. As for the gameplay, this game has some of the best level design I've ever seen in a Sonic game. As we all know, Sonic's a really fast hedgehog, and the level design is supposed to follow that. And this game meets those expectations in loads of ways. And let's not forget that this game made a water level that isn't bad. That's an achievement. And wait, what is this? Sonic can swim? When was the last time you saw Sonic swimming? As for the Wisp, as Sonic saves them, then he can use their abilities to get through various levels. These abilities let you destroy things in your path, turn blocks into rings, and float upwards. Overall, Sonic Colors was a massive comeback for their Sonic series. In 18 years, we never saw a Sonic game this good, and just seeing this game just brings back a lot of satisfaction. I'm glad Sonic Team remembered what they did wrong, and they improved it. If they keep making games like this, then we'll be happy. And that's what we want, don't we?